Hi guys, in this short video I want to show you how you can build this really interesting yet simple to do animation to enhance your portfolios, editorial, or any kind of website design you have in Webflow. So let's dive into it. We're going to work with GSAP and also with CSS native animations so you can pick and choose the best for your project. So let's dive into it. Well, as you can see, the final animation consists on the title of the project being visible and the preview GIF image being darkened when you hover on top of the whole card. This is the final website that we're going to build in Webflow together. As you can see, it's very similar to the reference one. And yeah, the website reference is from Yuri Fazioli, which is a creative copywriter. So yeah, basically, diving into Webflow, I have already set up the portfolio items in this grid. As you can see, it's very simple. Some elements that I taken from the CMS with the CMS list um, element from Webflow. So you just go to the uh, preview, and as you can see, none of the animation works. And then you go to the okay, so if we go dive into the actual HTML structure, you can see that we have this link block. Inside it we have an image element, and besides that we have the text element. That's pretty much it. So this is the link block element, which you can find in the add menu and like that. Also, we have these configurations which are display grid, X Y center, and Y center. So yeah, the position for the image should be 1 2 and 1 2 columns and grid. The height should be 100% and the position to cover and opacity to 100%. Besides that, we add a text black element. We are also positioning the grid child as 1 2 1 2. Just do that. And also we have the color being white and the opacity being set to 0 so that it's not visible by default. So yeah, that's pretty much all the basic CSS configuration. So now we're going to try to take a look at the final estimate, which is that. That's the final estimate. The opacity, lower the opacity down, and the opacity of the text should be 100% at the final state. So now we're going to set up the animation. So you go here to the interaction panel and check the interaction with GSAP. Then click on new hover interaction. Let's put it the right name, which should be project reveal on hover. It has a good name. And now we're going to set up the trigger, which is the class, and the class should be the same class of the element we're trying to animate the hover in, which is this. So yeah, now add an animation and put the fade in. Now you click on the trigger element. Now you should click on the element, and the scope should be the descendants actually. And now we are going to put the selector of the descendant we want to change, which is the text. Then the class name of the text I think was link black text, if I'm correct. But let's go back and check that out just to make sure. Yeah, exactly. It's C link block text. Perfect. So now click here, and then we're going to target the right one. Okay, cool. Now it should work. Let's try it out. Yeah, it's working fine. Perfect. Now we just need to, yeah, as you can see, you have to set up the type 2 to 100%, and that should be it. Now we're going to put it a right name so we can reference it later on. And besides this, we are going to animate also the image. Now the image should be, the target should be trigger the element and scope descendants, and then we're going to put the child selector. So now we're going to set the type to 2 and the opacity to 40%, which is the one we have before. So let's try it out. Yeah, that's perfect. Now we're going to here, going to add a new trigger, because all of this is going to be is going to trigger the animation on hover in, but not hover out. So let's do the hover out animation. So let's go there. Let's call the image animation darken image. Now we're going to add a new trigger, which is a hover, but this one should be a mouse leaf interaction. And actually the animation should be reverse, because we want to reverse back to the original state when we hover out, something like that. But something is not working quite right. I think I know why. Yeah, so we're going to fade in text. The issue was that we had to actually set the target to trigger element instead of element. So yeah, keep in mind that I wanted to leave this in the video, so you can know, guys, if you encounter any error, you know how to, like, where to look for to solve it. So that's pretty much it. Now everything should work just fine. Let's just put the second animation to 0 at start so that both are triggered at the same time. So now, if we take a look at the original website, you can see that the animation is very short in duration. So now we're going to tweak our animation to kind of match that vibe by making the duration less. So you go here to the duration set, you set to 0.1 and 0.1, and now the animation is a lot quicker. So after testing it, everything looks fine on the preview. So yeah, that's great. Everything looking just as we intended. So now we're going to publish it to the staging domain just to make sure that in the actual live website everything works fine. So let's try it out. Let's see. Perfect. Everything looks very good. Everything looks exactly as we want it to. Nice. So everything is working fine. And now I'm going to show you guys how to do this exact same effect, but using only CSS instead of the GSAP. Why am I going to show you that, guys? That's because this effect is kind of simple to do in CSS, and whenever possible, please use CSS for your animations instead of GSAP, because the more important thing for you should be that the user experience in on the web. The browser is easier to render CSS animation than rendering JavaScript animations. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this same effect, but using only CSS. The only, let's say, drawback from using CSS for this animation is that you have to write some custom code, but don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So for now, let's create a new duplicated section so we don't mess with the animation we previously did. So let's just give it each the link block item a different class name so that we don't we don't trigger the CSS, we don't trigger the GSAP animation in on this element. So let's just do that. And now I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So, but first let's preview it just to make sure like none of the animation is happening. Yeah, none of them are happening. That's perfect. Okay, so now we're going to do it with CSS. Now we're going to the page settings. Now, in page settings, you go down to the inside head tag section and you put this style opening and closing tags. Now we're going to put the uh, item that we want to animate in hover selector here, and then we put columns and then we put the word hover, right? First, we're going to take care of the text animation when on hover, and then we're going to take a look at how to do the image darken animation. So let's put these comments here so it's more clear what are we doing with the code. I want to leave that in the box down below so you can just copy and paste that. And also I will share this clonable for free, and there you can also take a look at the code there. Okay, so now now we need to get the class selector of the element we want to change on hover, which was the text and the image. So let's go back and check what was the class name of that. Is this one. Okay, nice. Now we have it. Now we're going to back to the page settings, and then for the image, the class name will be c link block underscore image. So let's write that in with a dot first. And now we're going to say, okay, opacity, we want to make it 40%. But in code, you have to put 0.4, which is basically the same. And for the text reveal animation, we're going to get to the text selector and set the opacity to 1, which is 100%. So let's take a look at the preview down. Yeah, here looks perfect. Yeah, it looks exactly how we want it. And as you can see, this is like the GSAP and this is the CSS. They are mostly the same. So that's great. Now, this animation is a little bit too snappy. So to make it like smoother, we can go here to the transform and then go to the type, which is opacity, which is the property that we are changing, and then set the duration to something. And now let's go to the text element and do the same thing here, set the duration to the exact one so that they both start and finishes at the same time. Yeah, just like that. Now it's a little bit more smoother, a little bit more smooth, which is great. Now everything is done. So let's just hit publish and then let's just preview it in the actual browser just to make sure everything's fine. So this is the GSAP Power Animations, and these are the CSS Power Animations. Now, to summarize what we did, first we set the content we needed on the page. Then we set the styles for the card's initial state. Then we set the styles for the card's final state, which is the hover state. So just so we know how it will look at the end. Then after that, reverted the card back to the initial state. Then we set up the animation by configuring the triggers and then the actual animation using the brand new GSAP animations. And after that, we tested on the preview just to see if everything worked. Then we push it to the staging domain to see how it looked in an actual browser. After we checked that everything was fine, we publish it. So, how do you decide between using GSAP or using CSS for this and all other animations? First, you have to evaluate if the animation can be done with CSS. This one can be done with CSS because it was quite easy. So yeah, then you have to think about the final user. Ideally, if the results are exactly the same, it will be better for the final user to use CSS animation because the browser renders the CSS animations better. It takes less resources from the browser. Besides that, if the user doesn't have JavaScript, maybe he or she is in a low connection area, it's best to use CSS for that because the JavaScript won't load properly. And for the GSAP animations, you need JavaScript. But the thing with CSS animations is that you have to code it. Like in this video, I show you how to do it, so it was kind of easy. But maybe if you are more familiar, which you probably are, with like visual tools, maybe sticking with GSAP will be the best thing to do. So yeah, please keep in mind that, and that's pretty much it. So guys, if you want to take a look at this project by yourself, go check out the Webflow clonable I have for you in the description. It's entirely for free. And please try Webflow with my link. If you want to try it, this is an affiliate link, so I get a commission out of it. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe to learn how to create any creative, amazing design animation for your sites and land those big, cool clients you really want. Thank you so much.